Hi, I'm Gavin,
And I'm Dave.
and you're on the fringe.
Come along with us for a ride on a podcast where we talk about an area or a thing going on in the world that needs more attention, just like you do. Let's go.
On the fringe. Here we go.
Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome back to On the Fringe. This is Dave. I'm here with Gavin.
Oh,
And today we're going to be starting. Hey, Gavin. Can hear you back
hey.
there.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
going to be we're going to be starting a new mini series about the future of war. And one of the things we're going to be talking about in this series is how potential future wars will start. And one of them that we've looked at and something going on right now is the conflict between India and Pakistan and a war eventually starting over Pakistan losing its water supply from India. So, Gavin, why would a war like this start? What would kick something like that off?
Um, okay, so we're kind of burying the lead here. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
on the 22nd of April, so that's 5 days away from when we're recording this. On the 22nd of April in Pahalgam, in the Indian administered section of Kashmir, there was a militant attack on several groups of tourists. 26 dead, 20 injured. The individuals in question have not been apprehended. A group did take responsibility and then retracted about a day ago. These guys came out with AKs, M4s, basically separated non-Muslims, Muslims, non-Kashmiris, Kashmiris, and then started shooting. Um, huge, huge implications. So this is the largest attack in 6 years. It's one of the few attacks targeting civilians in recent memory. And some of these people who were killed were Indian Army employees, Indian government employees on vacation. So it did hit quite close to home. And these were tourists from all over India. There was one guy from Nepal. Um, this attack has prompted what I would describe as an unprecedented diplomatic response from the Indian government. Not only did they cease all visa activity with Pakistan, they essentially required all Pakistani citizens to leave by today, April 27th, and they suspended the Indus River Treaty or Indus Waters Treaty. Now, Dave, can you give us some background on the Indus Waters Treaty?
Sure. So back in 1960, the World Bank mediated a treaty between India and Pakistan about water supply coming from the Indus River. And currently, India has suspended the treaty. They've not ripped it up, but they've suspended it. And prior to India suspending it, they would send Pakistan information about the water flow and about the water of the Indus River going from India into Pakistan. And it's very important to Pakistan because it primarily feeds a lot of their agriculture and a lot of their industry. So, if India potentially were to cut off Pakistan's water supply, then this would be disastrous for Pakistan. Be absolutely disastrous for the country. This is
It was
this is
all
their main source of water.
100%. It was also one of the few surviving um, really cross-border institutions where there was a pretty high degree of cooperation. It's also worth noting that between 1960 and 2025, um, India and Pakistan fought three large-scale wars in that time period, and this treaty has never been suspended before. So unfortunately, it's quite a precedent. And this is being viewed in Pakistan as an existential threat. They're saying that. They're saying one opposition politician in Pakistan, not very intelligently, in my opinion, made a statement about we will bathe in the water of the Indus or in the blood of our enemies. That's one way of
That's a
putting it.
threat.
That, that that's a direct threat. That's a direct threat. And this is coming from someone who historically has been considered something of a liberal. That's not liberal rhetoric. If you hear that, things are bad. So that's on the Pakistani side. There also, again, there are issues of attribution. The group that claimed the attack retracted it, and they've never really done anything before. No one knows anything about these guys. They're supposedly an offshoot of Lashkar-e-Taiba, but Lashkar-e-Taiba has basically been inactive for like the last 10 or 15 years. So this is, we don't know very much about the group, and they retracted it a few days later. So it's quite shady in that respect. Unfortunately, Pakistan has made the situation, I would say, somewhat worse. They've said, yes, we'll accept a neutral investigation, but you're just blaming us. They even accused India of conducting a false flag. They said, you probably did this. Again, this is not dialogue that de escalates the situation.
Mhm. And
The
actually, de-escalating this is going to take a master class in diplomacy. And it looks like now that the Gulf states, so Saudi Arabia, Iran, and the UAE have largely stepped up to try to get these two countries to step away from the brink of going to war, potentially even a nuclear war if it were to get bad enough. And
uh,
the Gulf
yeah, and
states, the Gulf states have a ton to be worried about, not only because of their trade routes that run through the Strait of Hormuz and also on the western part where they're dealing with Houthis near the Red Sea and the Suez Canal, but they have huge diasporas of Indians and Pakistanis and their labor forces. And if you have Indians and Pakistani workers fighting each other in the streets of Abu Dhabi or Dubai or Doha or wherever they're working, then your economy is going to come to a standstill. And this situation is probably too far to actually stop and slow down. It would be just a complete disaster for the whole entire region and South Asia.
if it gets to that point, it's a complete disaster, anyways. India is already conducting live fire drills in the Arabian Sea. There's a possibility of naval conflict because they both have substantial navies. And they both have, and again, I'm not sure all of the listeners know, they're both fully nuclear states. They have missile capability, they have warhead capability. We're talking a couple hundred warheads on each side. They're not messing about. These are very serious problems. If there is a shooting war, the doctrine is not clear. In the case of Pakistan, it's deliberately unclear. They won't tell people what their red lines are. Uh, India has committed to no first strike, um, but also committed to, in the event of a conflict, invading as quickly as possible. So not, it's just not a good situation. And to get back to the river, the problem is the river for Pakistan is an existential threat. If you take away that water, immediate famine in Punjab, immediate famine in Sindh. These are the two most populous states. These Punjab is the breadbasket of the country, essentially. You starve the country out pretty quickly. And again, because it's South Asia, because there's massive population density, it just everything is going to have a knock-on effect. And that's what the Gulf states are worried about. They do not want to have to manage a war within their own labor force while dealing with the cataclysmic disruptions to oil shipment that would ensue were an actual shooting war to break out. It is a fraught situation.
Hmm. And we're kind of, the US is kind of sitting back and going, well, these guys are going to figure it out.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's going to take more than just, I think, sitting back and going, these guys will figure it out. It's going to take pressure from a lot of different sides to get both of these countries to step back from the brink because it looks like now they're close. They're not there, but they're close. They're taking steps. There's a lot of saber rattling on both sides to where there is a possibility that this thing could just go up.
I think there's a distinct possibility. And I think um, there's a very serious issue in that by the time that states outside of the Gulf and outside of uh, other South Asian countries start taking it seriously, it'll probably be too late.
Hmm.
If right now there's just exchanges of small arms fire up and down the line of control in Kashmir, which is the border between the two countries, that is not good. That's also not that unusual. That happens. It's not good, but it happens. Small arm fire, back and forth, tit for tat. Okay. If there is an airstrike, if there is an artillery duel, if there is, God forbid, another attack either in Pakistan or in India, this all goes up very,
Hmm.
very quickly. Um, and we're now at a point where whether they're doing it publicly or not, the military on both sides are essentially stepping into a conflict readiness posture. They're not moving missiles into silos. They're not moving conscripts to the front, but they are preparing to do that. In the case of Kashmir, part of the issue with Kashmir is both sides are permanently mobilized. Both parts of Kashmir are permanently garrison states. They are fully militarized all the time. So if something starts off there, everyone's ready to go. And then again, how you de-escalate this, man, I just think it's going to take a lot of pressure from a lot of people.
It will. It definitely
Yeah.
will. And
And no,
at the
go ahead.
same time, I was going to say economics may be one way to potentially slow it down or to probably not stop it, but take a step back. Apple in the last week has said they're going to begin manufacturing iPhones in India by next year.
Hmm.
So India could be looking at this and going, we're going to lose potentially $300 billion in surplus or more from exporting iPhones. Maybe we'll think about this before we actually do something
Yeah.
because India is really, I mean, they're still trying to grow their economy. Their economy is growing at 10 to 12% per year in terms of GDP. It's booming. And if you had a war like this, all the foreign investment, all the foreign money is going to stop. And if I'm the Indian government, do I want to go to war against Pakistan? Depending on what the domestic situation is, you may have no choice to. But you want to dial that down and dial that fire down from the domestic populace. And I think
Hmm.
if you can get them more money, you can get them more jobs. That's going to be a way to actually step away from this. That's an off ramp.
If it's being framed that way, yes. And hopefully, quietly behind the scenes, people are saying like, look, $300 billion is $300 billion. Don't, this is the tip of the iceberg in terms of FDI, which is a
Hmm.
perennial issue with India. This is a country that has a lot of problems getting foreign direct investment, anyways. Uh, Even the hint of a conflict is going to turn that tap off completely. If, God forbid, there is a shooting war, that that's over with. I mean,
Hmm.
that deal's gone. FDI reverses itself. You start losing money. So it's it's a tense situation, and it's a situation that's not being talked about enough because we're really at a hinge point, uh, not only in South Asia, but in the world. This is a critical region, and the relationship between India and Pakistan affects everyone, whether you're aware of it or not.
Hmm. And just to go off on what Gavin was saying, share this podcast with other people that are interested. If they're
Mm,
interested in tech, if they're interested in what's going on in the world, because this is a region that we have to know more about in the West. We can't just put it off on the shelf and go, okay, this is in India, this is Pakistan. This is going to become front and center to our lives if our stuff is made in India. We have to know more about what's going on in this country so we're more aware of the risks that we're going to face at home. Okay, we have tariffs coming in and then we have a war breaking out, then how much more is a new phone or how much more is a new computer or how much more are new electronic devices going to cost us?
yeah.
Very important.
Anyways, thank you for listening. Please like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, share with your enemies, share with people who have no idea what's going on in the world. Uh, share it with your pets, man. Share it with anyone. But we appreciate our little community, and thanks for listening. This is On the Fringe.